Hi everyone, I'm Hubert, founder of Urban AI. I'm going to be short because I know we are already out of time for the program, but the goal of this very short presentation is maybe to share, in a sense, why we are doing this conference and why we want to work on Screenless Cities. And I think actually it resonates with what you are sharing even on the interrogation point for the Screenless. So maybe just about Urban AI, for those of you that are not familiar with Urban AI, it's a global organization dedicated to urban artificial intelligence. And we are actually federating a global community of 200 experts, and some of them are here today. So it's really a great pleasure to see so many familiar faces, Urban AI expert partners, and to see that you have a body, you're not just digital faces on a screen. And our mission, and I think it's quite important because it resonates a lot with really the topic of the conference today, is to urbanize artificial intelligence. And what do we mean by urbanizing artificial intelligence? It's actually an idea that emanates from Saskia Sassen, like 10 years ago, during the hype of the smart city. Very early, she was like, we should be careful, we should take attention to what's happening because this narrative of smart city is actually de-urbanizing cities. So that was really like her concept, her statement, drawing inspiration from people like Henri Lefebvre. And when she was saying that, she means that urbanity, it's a kind of collective intelligence that is, circulating between people in cities. It's quality from a quantity. It's when density becomes virtuous. So this something very special happening that maybe make you love all urban things, but this is what is urbanity. And she was saying algorithm governance, what you say is a dictator with algorithms. So basically this actually is de-urbanizing city. And so she was like, we should actually urbanize technology. So instead of creating cities drawing inspiration from computer, we should create technology drawing inspiration from cities, which are technology. So this is really where we come from at Urban AI. And we did a manifesto now 4 years ago, collectively with, I think it was the initial 60 Urban AI members, to express our values and what we stand for as a community of diverse people, but still united by this idea of urbanizing technology. And why I'm sharing this, because actually this idea of screenless cities, which is removing screens from interaction between people and AI, this is really in this essence about urbanizing technology. What we mean is how can we stop using those smartphones and make artificial intelligence situated, open, decentralized, frictional, meaningful, ecological. And this is what we will explore today. And this is maybe why, when, if I can maybe just say, elaborate a bit on what you said, when we are saying screenless, we are not only referring to using the hand. I think you were referring to a startup that is doing this, or using the retina. We are actually referring to really embodying artificial intelligence and in a sense to create kind of immanent data. So how can we project those information and make them more relational, more frictional, more meaningful? And it will be discussed today, obviously, with Eric Jordan. We are lucky enough to have you today to discuss this topic of meaningful efficiencies, of voice interaction, also with Julia and Henriette. But we want to understand how can we use the materiality to transmit information. So how can we reinvest materiality? This is really where we come from. And in a sense, this screenless city concept is just about activating our manifesto. One, maybe just another element about why we're here today, it's also because a few months ago you have a French village called Seine-et-Port that actually forbidden smartphone in public spaces. They were like collectively, so it's a very small village, it's only 2,000 people. It's not massive, it's at the periphery, we could say, of power, but we know that it's always, or at least sometimes at periphery, that new narratives emerge. And here, those 2,000 people, actually half of those 2,000 people, more than half, they said, we're tired of smartphones, basically. So it was very, in a sense, pragmatic, saying how do we protect our children from addiction, and how do we protect the social fabric? How do we protect our city from screens? Because we are seeing more and more, you know this word Smombie? Smombie, this is a word between smartphone and zombie to design those people that are glued to their screen and no longer paying attention to what's happening around them. And those people, they were like, okay, politically they wanted to do something. What is a bit actually fun is that actually it's forbidden. What they proposed is not authorized. You cannot forbid smartphones in public space. But I think it's still more powerful because it's really a kind of, they were in a sense expressing a kind of desperate need of finding a solution, being at the limit of what is politically accepted, legal and illegal. And so this is really where we are today, and this is both for this call to urbanize technology and this idea from Seine-et-Marne that we're working on Screenless Cities, which are actually first defined in a very simple definition, which is about shifting attention from screens to street. And it's a very simple definition, but it's quite interesting for three elements very quickly. The first one is that it means that we want to bring back eyes on the streets, and I know there is a lot of urban planners in the room, a lot of architects, but what we say here, actually, it's a kind of economical incentive. We're saying, okay, let's bring back those eyes on the street to create economic value, financial value in the street, because we know more than ever in an attention economy that attention is capital. This is what I've very well understood tech companies, where you are able to channel attention, you are able to create financial revenue. So what we are saying is, okay, let's bring attention in public spaces, because it will also create value and potentially financial value. The second element, but I will not elaborate on this because I don't want to spoil Caroline's presentation that will be later today on how cities can be a medium, but it's this idea that cities are places of inhabited information. So this is also what we mean when we say we shift attention from screens to street. So how do we make, and I think it's very important, information not only readable, not only understandable, but inhabitable. And this is really the work of architects, of urban planners also to do this, not only more broadly, I would say all urban experts, but it's really something that is quite important because we have a kind of cognitive overload more and more. And we have cognitive overload, not because there are too many information, but because it's not habitable. You know, this is this idea from Merck Weiser. You can cross a forest, you have 100 million more information than in your screen, but you feel good. Why? Because you're feeling at home, you're feeling well. And this is also the idea of the screenless city concept. And this is something we've been working with the city, with the metropolis of Bordeaux, with Raquel Diderot, a few years ago actually with the metropolis of Nantes, on this idea of embodying urban data, urban AI in public space, making it inhabitable. And it will be discussed this afternoon with the panel on embodying urban AI with Julia, Henriette, Raquel. And actually, we have also a last-minute surprise that will come this afternoon, you will see. And lastly, and I will conclude here, it's really about shifting desire from screens to streets. And this is, I think, what is also very important when we have this definition of shifting attention from screens to streets, because we have to always keep in mind that those screens, they are objects of desire, actually. And this is why they are so good at keeping attention, because they are playing kind of seduction game, you know, like they are showing people, they are exposing you, you are being seen when you want, so you disclose what you want. So there is all web like this of seduction that have been very well shown by Natasha Dole in a book called Addiction by Design. You know, when she's talking about the machine zone. Machine zone, this is where you go when you no longer want to leave your smartphone, for example. You're scrolling for hours, and suddenly you stop and you're like, okay, like I just passed 2 hours in my smartphone. But this is asking the question of desirable place. Are we able to create something more desirable than a screen? And it's not that much easy to answer your question, because daily people, when they are going back to their screen, they are answering their question and they are telling to us, no, we are not able collectively to create in a street something that is more attractive, appealing, desired than those screens. So this is also what we aim to do, like to create again desire in the streets, to bring back, like, you know, in French we say désir de ville. It's very beautiful. So in English, I don't know, desire of city. So this is also the goal of this concept. So that's maybe some initial elements that really aim to be advanced, that aim to have further addings on it. It's just an initial, I would say, definition that needs to be elaborated with all of you, but this is where we start from. And this is also what we believe it's important to work on this topic and to create those screenless cities. Thanks to all of you for your attention. As we already out of time, I propose that we directly go to for the break, and if happy to discuss it with any of you if you have questions. And then we will have the session with Eric Gordon, Furaha Hassani, and Antoine Bidegain to discuss how we can better engage with cities and play with urban space. Thank you.